Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here to our show tonight. As we've been doing for quite some time, and we didn't do the last few days, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and before and after that, we're going to have the national anthem by the Army Barbershop Quartet. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it. America's finest right there.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet. They came to us from the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We appreciate them being able to give us the national anthem, and the Barbershop Quartet Convention hosts giving us the Pledge of Allegiance every day. I keep doing this because I believe in it. I've gotten a lot of flack during the last 4.5 years for giving us or doing the Pledge of Allegiance and or the national anthem. I've caught a ton of flack. Why do you do it? It wastes time. I don't think of it as wasted time. I love our country. Yes, some of the politicians at the head of our country don't even know what they're doing. And yes, I hate talking about politics. I really do. I despise politics. But sometimes you have to do it. I want to tell you all that I love our country. Each and every one of you know that. I love your countries wherever you live as well. One of our mods is from England. I love the people in England. Some of my relatives came from England. from Lincolnshire, England. So yes, I want to thank the English people for doing what they've done for our family, for what they've done to help us all. My dad's father was from Wales. He hailed from Wales, also in the British monarchy area. So yes, I'm also part Welsh. My grandmother was from Sweden. She spoke Swedish to me when I was young, very young. But I was born here in the United States. Yes, for 2.5 years plus, just a little over 2.5 years, I was in Sweden, home of my forefathers. But folks, I love the United States of America. I love all of our countries around the world. I can only hope we don't become a world government. That's one thing I don't want. I want to honor these men and women in our armed forces, and that's one of the biggest reasons I do this, as well as because I want to love my country. And I want all of us to realize that as well, that we should love our country, not necessarily the people at its head. But I love the men and women of the armed forces. As a police officer, I served next to many men and women in the Navy, the Marine Corps, and also the Air Force. I've been around people from Space Force as well, before it even became Space Force. I love our military. I want us to thank our military around the world, our allied forces, their men and women as well. They deserve to be recognized. Thank you for your service. And may God bless all of our military. It doesn't matter what service you're in. God bless all of our military. And I ask the Lord to bless them and return them home to their families in safety when their tours of duty end. That is the biggest thing that I want to put out. Folks, we love our men and women of our country and our military that helps protect us. More than anything in the world, we love these people. I want to start off talking about hurricane and later tropical storm Idalia. I'm going to play this video for you, and I'm also going to show you some pictures. I really do believe in what we're doing here. Getting the word out about what is going on here in our country and around the world. When people's lives are in danger, I want our people to know that we are back them, or we have their backs.
An interesting little tidbit about Hurricane Idalia as it was moving through the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. It actually created this process called upwelling, okay? So what you're looking at here, the colors on this map are showing us something called ocean heat content. It's not just the surface temperature of the water, it also takes into account the depth of how warm or how cool the water is, okay? And so what happens is when you get a really strong storm like Idalia was, a major hurricane, it was wavering between Category 3 and Category 4 status, is just the sheer strength of the storm can kind of push away with that strong wind. It pushes away the warm water that's at the surface, and it will actually kind of upwell some of the cooler water that's underneath that warm surface layer of water. Okay, so that's why it's so important when we're forecasting hurricanes and tropical systems, not only just how warm the water is at the surface, but how deep that warm water goes as well.
Okay, that's one of the things. We've always been taught that the hurricane goes into warmer waters and it gains strength in the warmer waters. But you saw as the hurricane slid by in this video here, it brought up the cooler water behind it. At the time Hurricane Idalia was over in the Gulf, it gained strength. That's how it got to be a hurricane Category 3. It had winds a lot stronger than it would have been had it been a lower grade hurricane. But it was a Cat 3. It almost became a Cat 4. This storm was very deadly. I want to show you another video we have of Governor DeSantis talking with a reporter there in Florida after the hurricane left. This is also important.
I mean, I think Ian, there was a lot of bobbling around.
Right.
I remember being Sunday, Ian hit on a Wednesday just like this hit on a Wednesday. I remember that Sunday for Ian, we were looking at Cedar Key potentially, and it kept being reevaluated south.
To the south, right?
This one was pretty much within about a 50-mile radius on the Big Bend. That had been locked in for 72, 96 hours in advance. And I think that because the forecast ended up being, these people here, they did take precautions. I mean, people got off the island. We were not getting the frantic 911 calls like we got with Hurricane Ian. Obviously, Ian was a Cat 5, but I think people did heed the warnings, and I think part of it was because that forecast showed that it was going to be in this area, and it ended up coming there.
Okay? I think that's really important. We understand what happened. We totally get what happened there. Folks, things happen. Hurricanes happen, but we want to make sure that they stop. We want to make sure they stop, and at some time they do. But in this particular case, it continued for a very long time. It only became a tropical storm after it already hit a total of 5 states. After it hit here in North Carolina as well. Now, folks, there's a lot to be said here. I have been mulling over literally all day what I wanted to talk about tonight. I have to give Idalia and let you see what happened with Idalia. I have a lot of pictures, not a lot, but several pictures here to show you. This is Cedar Keys, Florida. This is Cedar Keys, Florida. That cottage, that bed and breakfast was torn apart by the hurricane. And you saw the video yesterday of it being swept out to sea. Pieces of it swept out to sea. This picture was taken before that happened. You can see the wave over to the left end of the picture, the slide here. You can see the wave coming in. It even got larger after this picture was taken, nearly up to the eaves of this building. It was incredible. The power and force of the water of the hurricane was incredible. Incredible. This is another shot, a further distant shot. But it shows the destruction of the water even before it took out that cottage there. That is bad. That is bad. Vicki said last night she's 20 miles from Cedar Key. She and her husband were blessed that their house is still standing. The water didn't destroy their home or their neighbor's home. And that's good. Before I get going any further, I want to thank Catherine Sigerson for her $5 donation to our program tonight. Catherine, God bless you for that. We appreciate it. I also want to thank Poet's Dream for the $10 donation you gave us. God bless you. God bless you for your donation. You guys' donations, whether it be here in the Super Chat or your donations to our Venmo and our PayPal locations, are so loved and appreciated. to keep this program on the air. You guys have been helping me pay my medical bills to survive what is going on. Even what you've given has helped me, and I totally love it and appreciate all you've done for me. We have our post office box, because many of you have sent us cards and letters, which I love. I appreciate that so much. Some of you have sent donations in your cards and letters. Excuse me. Don't have allergies. Well, I've got allergies. I don't have a cold. But folks, it's bad. And I appreciate all of you helping us. That means the world to me. I knew I had friends before I came and put this channel together. You guys have shown me what real family and friendship is. And I will be forever grateful for each and every one of you. Over the past 4 years, you've helped me, you've blessed my life, and blessed my family's life. I will always be eternally grateful for all of you. So as you give donations here, either in the chat as a super chat, or to our 3 other locations, or PayPal or Venmo, or to our post office box, I just want you to know that your donations are sacred. They're not spent frivolously. Keeping this program on the air and keeping me alive as well. God bless you for that. Anyway, as you can see, Hurricane Idalia did all kinds of damage, literally all over Florida. It hit in Georgia. There was damage in Georgia. Unfortunately, I couldn't find pictures of the damage in Georgia. However, this is South Carolina. You can see this man wading through up to knee-deep water here in South Carolina. It flooded businesses in Charleston, South Carolina. Incredible storm. When this picture was taken, this was a Cat 1 hurricane. Winds of 75, 80 miles per hour. Literally flooding Charleston, South Carolina. All over. Those people have been so blessed that there wasn't more damage. This is one of the most historic homes in Southport, North Carolina, along the coast of North Carolina. I don't believe it was damaged because it was also raised off the ground. And it had that retaining wall that kept the floodwaters from reaching that building. That is a historic building. Hudson, I want to show you a picture, and before I do it, I want to show you where Hudson, Florida is. Hudson, Florida, folks, is in the lower left-hand side of the slide here. I'm going to raise this up. At the top here you have Bayport. Bayport had damage, Hernando Beach had damage, and Pecca and Hudson, Florida. The next picture I'm going to show you is Hudson, Florida. A lot of damage there. This is Hudson, Florida before the hurricane. This is what remains of Hudson, Florida today. Hudson, Florida today. Incredible damage. Now, I'm like you. I've been praying for these people, like you and all of the rest of our neighbors and friends and family. I never thought, before I had been studying these storms for many years, a lot longer than I've been doing this show, but I didn't really realize the damage a hurricane could do until I got down into Hurricane Katrina. And I was devastated, to say the least. Myself and my colleagues, the police down there, incredible. I saw men and women that had been seasoned police officers cry. I've seen women and men throughout New Orleans cry. And then a man who I will always fondly remember, who had a barbecue shop, a barbecue restaurant in New Orleans. It was flooded out. It was flooded out. And he came over to where we had set up in the 9th Ward. We had a police communications command post at the location. And he found us, and because of his vehicle, which was a older model, I believe Ford or Chevy pickup truck, with a huge long grill on it. The entire trailer was a grill. And he said, I've come here to help you, to cook meals for as long as you're here. And I said, well, we didn't call you. He goes, it doesn't matter. If I don't get rid of this food and cook it for someone, I've lost all that money. I don't care whether anybody even pays me. But I'm going to cook for you guys as long as you guys are here. So that's what he did. I was there over 30 days. Then after I left, other people came and took my place in the communications command post. And we had federal police officers. We had New Orleans police. We even had residents in that nearby area that this man fed. I'll forever be grateful for him. His pickup truck made so much noise when he pulled up to our command post area. We were camping out beside the command post in tents, and me and my communications partner, police officers, we woke up with the rattling of his pickup truck, and we went outside our tents and rubbing the sleepy stuff from our eyes, and Mr. Barnes came up and put his big, huge, meaty arm around me and said, I'm here to cook for you. That was just one more friend I grew to know and love. And yes, we had some of the most delicious meals that I have ever eaten, because Mr. Barnes was, one, so generous, and two, he was just a loving, kind man. After a hurricane destroyed his restaurant, before he pulled out of there and let the water destroy his restaurant, he pulled everything that he could to save. All the food and many other things that he pulled out of there, so he could be back in business once the water went down and he got things cleaned up. But many people, probably hundreds of people that were there, were blessed by this man. I've seen hurricanes destroy buildings. I've seen hurricanes destroy homes like you see here, and like you see in the pictures that I've showed you. Hurricanes are bad. They're very bad. This is a hurricane or actually this is actually Idalia when it came up here in South Carolina. This is a Southport police that took this picture for us. The Southport Police Department. A lot of people worked hard. A lot of people worked very hard for what they've done. And yet they lost a lot. They lost a lot. Now, I want to show you this. Okay? This is a picture of Idalia now. Over on the left-hand side of Idalia, though, it's still over the coastline of North Carolina. The easternmost part of North Carolina, flirting with Virginia. So there's still some telltale signs of Tropical Storm Idalia now. Okay? We got cloudy yesterday. We got very cloudy. We got a few sprinkles earlier in the day. Last night we thought we might get some tornadoes. I spoke with the emergency manager of Morganton, where I live, before I came on the air last night. We thought we might get some thunderstorms and maybe even a tornado or two, but that didn't happen. Rebecca, who you saw in the chat room in last night's program, she lives further south of me. She got some rain and she got some wind, and that's just about all. We all were blessed by not getting really hurt. Other places along the coast of North, South Carolina and Georgia and Florida and parts of Alabama got hit. The outer bands of the storm hit Alabama. They hit part of Kentucky and even parts of Tennessee as well. But fortunately, we hope to put our lives together. I wanted you to hear from Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis activated his state emergency operations center, as did operations centers up and down the coast of Florida. The Georgia State Emergency Management Operation also became operational. The Operations Center over in Charlotte, North Carolina, was also activated. The governor was over in Charlotte. McAllister was there in his in Georgia. And I forgot the governor's name in South Carolina right now, but he was there as well. Or I should say she was there. But folks, we have a great many people that stood up to help all of us around this country. And in the 5 states that took flack from the hurricane. Now it's time to rally together to make sure we help everybody that was losing property. I have not yet heard any numbers of fatalities as a result of Hurricane Idalia. Let me just double check something. Before I came on, I didn't check, and okay, they're still talking about only 2 fatalities as a result of Hurricane Idalia. That involved a traffic accident. Okay? That involved a traffic accident. The accident was caused by Hurricane Idalia. 2 people have been confirmed dead as a result of this hurricane. I was praying last night before I went to bed that the numbers would be limited. And it turns out that the good Lord protected the people all over Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, even up into Virginia. God bless everyone. God bless everybody. At least we have something that we can work and bring our homes back to where they were before it started. Tammy Steffi says, saw footage on the news of a car being thrown by the winds during the hurricane. That is common. That is one reason why we were told by the police if winds got up above 35 miles an hour, they were no longer going to respond to calls. The only calls that they would respond to were life-threatening calls. Then they were going to send out their heavy rescue vehicles because those were the only vehicles that they trusted in the winds and the water. And that's what they did. We want to thank our men and women of our police departments, our fire departments, and also our paramedics. They did a yeoman's job all over the areas where they serve. God bless our first responders. Folks, unfortunately, we have a lot more to talk about tonight. I want to go over to Maui. The people in Maui have been hurt very bad. Very, very bad. I want to show you this video because these people in Hawaii are holding a vigil starting tomorrow morning at sunup at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. in Hawaii. The state of Hawaii is holding a vigil, not just the people on Maui.
Just a reminder, you see on your screen right there a statewide vigil for Maui. It is called Kipuni Aloha no Maui. We're talking story this morning with Kumu Mehanaokala Hind, who's also Kumuhula, and you're also with the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Aloha mai kako.
So what is Kipuni Aloha no Maui? Translate.
You know, it basically means we wrap our aloha around Maui. Right, and it's a statewide effort, a statewide vigil from sunrise to sunset on Friday, tomorrow, September 1st. It's a good moon to do this on, so a good day. And basically, you know, the elders throughout Hawaii, on Maui, but also away from Maui, have been recognizing that although there's been an outpouring of aloha coming in, right, the donations have been tremendous from around the world. Many individuals, businesses, nonprofits have all contributed to the effort. There was still an intangible need. That intangible need was to recognize and fulfill the need of the emotional and spiritual well-being of the ohana on Maui, and also, you know, others who are mourning the loss of their loved ones, of their businesses, of their homes, of the precious artifacts that were lost in the fires on Maui.
You know, as we see the news, I think, you know, whether or not we have relatives or friends over there on Maui, we all still feel this eha for Maui, and wanting to do something. So Kupuna came up with this to try to live.
Yes, you know, and revered Kupuna, an elder and Kumuhula, Dr. Hokulaniho Padilla, along with Dr. Kamana Opono Crab, who is another cultural leader and a Native Hawaiian leader in our communities, along with the Hawaii Executive Council Chair, Dwayne Kurisu. You know, we're talking, and they reached out to their ohana, their colleagues and friends who are kahu from the different faiths, who are also Native Hawaiian cultural practitioners, and said, hey, let's do something where our whole Pai'aina can come together and wrap our arms around Maui from sunrise to sunset in prayer vigil, which has always been one of the most maniful ways that here in Hawaii we express aloha.
Okay.
It's through pule.
So what happens? This is tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, this is tomorrow. So sunrise, noon, and sunset, there will be simulcast live stream here on HNN and with our other partners or online. You can watch the sunrise vigils that are taking place across the state, across the Payaina, on all the islands. Or you could also hold vigil in your home and know that every hour on the hour, at your home, your place of work, with your friends or your family, every hour on the hour from sunrise to sunset, you can also do your own pule in love and aloha and for the healing of the people and the aina of Maui. Or you can join us at one of the public locations that are listed on hawaiiso.org/Maui. You can go on there. For instance, here on Oahu, sunrise, we'll be out at Aveyah Malu, Sandy Beach, on the end towards the traffic light where Kalama Valley is. We'll be there at sunrise. So come before the sunrises. We'll be there at noontime. We'll be in town at Thomas Square. There's a pilina between Kamehameha III, who's very important at Thomas Square, but also for establishing Maui, or
As
for
the
having
capital.
Maui at the capital, of Hawaii at that time during the kingdom. So at noontime, we invite everyone here on Oahu to come and join us at Thomas Square. And then at sunset, we'll be out on the west side where the sun sets here on Oahu at Poka'i Bay at Ku'iliolo Heiau. So all the Waianae people come out to Waianae to Poka'i Bay. If you leave on the east side, come to Aveyah Malu, come to Sandy Beach, join us. And if you're in town at work, come take lunch break, come with us in Pule.
Okay, so there's so much information as to places and times.
And throughout the state.
And so once again, we'll give you the website so you can get more information.
Yeah, hawaiiso.org/Maui or at H&N's website.
Mehana o ka lahain, thank you. We'll be right back. You're watching Sunrise on Hawaii News.
Okay, on Hawaii News Now. If you go over to their website and you want more information about this vigil, go over there. You can pull all the information from there. Hawaii News Now did a wonderful thing to help put this information out, and I want to applaud them for that. The news media does a lot of things for people, especially in Hawaii. It's not like a lot of news media here in this country, in this mainland part of the country. So I want to applaud Hawaii News Now as well, and all the people in Hawaii. Aloha. Thank you, and we love you all very much. Now I've said that. Folks, there is a lot to be said for what happened. I have been involved in an investigation about what happened with the Maui fires. I've also stirred up more police officers and retired police officers that are also involved in getting to the bottom of what's happened with the Maui wildfires. We are working with people over in Maui as well. But more than 3 weeks after a raging inferno gutted historic Lahaina town, leaving over 115 people dead, and I want to just slow down just here a minute. I want to tell you that there's a lot more dead than they're saying. There's a lot more people that have died as a result of the Maui wildfires than they're talking about. Mayor Bisson was approached by a reporter a week or so ago. He was asked multiple times by the reporter, "Sir, tell us the total count of people that have passed away as a result of that fire." That was after 2 weeks after the fire. Now it's 3 weeks. They still have not given us any more details about what happened in terms of the people that have passed away. They become very cold-hearted, in my opinion, and I'm not the only one that believes that. They've shut the area of West Maui down, where only their officials can go in there. Nobody else. They shut it down. I have a lot of contacts in Maui. And I've shown videos because I have received permission to share it with you. And I will do so more liberally, in fact, in the future, because the story has not been told. Last week I told you that there were 189 bodies that came up in the water on the beaches of Lanai, which is one of the Maui, or the mountains, not the mountains, the islands to the west of Maui. 189 bodies floated up on the beach of Lanai, just west of Maui, west and north of Maui. We have that. We know for a fact that the morgue at the Maui hospital is full. There are 700 people at the morgue at the Maui hospital. I told you last week that the city of Maui and the county of Maui had gotten 5 refrigerator trucks to put 40 bodies each in there. But now it has been 9 refrigerator trucks. Glenn Beck talked about it on one of his shows this past week. And you can go over to glenbeck.com or see him over on YouTube, here on YouTube, and he has about an hour and 15-minute presentation on what he has found out. It's incredible. And he has not told the entire story either. But the story is gradually coming out. Like I said, 700 bodies at Maui Hospital, 189 bodies over at Lanai, and 9 times 40. 9 times 40. You can figure out how many people they have found. But they're not identifying those people. They identified 5 or 6 people, and that's all that they have released to us. And you know darn well, or at least we should know, that the police department, under the tutelage of a police chief that should not be the coroner. He has no medical background. Maui needs to hire a coroner, a medical examiner, a doctor. But I hope the chief politiere will soon release the names of people that they have at least identified. Not just the 5 or 6 people that we have. But the horror doesn't stop there. Public outcry on the island and also all around the world has hit a din, meaning high level outcry. The public outcry has hit a new high after a news conference this past Tuesday, 2 days ago, when top officials fumbled through a series of questions about communication breakdowns that happened as the flames were totally destroying West Maui and the town of Lahaina, the town of Lahaina. When the Emergency Operations Center Director and Mayor Bisson were asked who was calling the shots at the Operations Center, Mayor Bisson said, quote, "I'm not sure who was in charge. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, that doesn't cut it. As the mayor in Maui, you are in charge of the operations center. You are the chief man in charge of the city. You hired an emergency manager in charge of the operations center. Of anyone there, the two of you and the police chief should have been in charge, all three of you. But Mr. Mayor, you're the boss. You're in charge. His statement doesn't hold water. He says, I'm not sure who is in charge. That's BS. At another point during the news conference, a reporter questioned the director of the state's emergency management agency, saying, we don't know how many people maybe have died as a result of the fire. And he stopped, waiting for a response. Then he asked, you don't think there was anything your agency could have done? The head of the Hawaii State Emergency Management Agency said nothing. Then, the man that I have some respect for still, Major General Kenneth Hara. I showed his picture 2 weeks ago. He's in charge of all of the National Guard troops, both Army and Air Force, and Navy Guard troops. He said personally, or he said, quote, personally, I don't think so. He said the agency could not have done any more. The continued lack of accountability has prompted me and hundreds of other people like me and the community in Maui and the state of Hawaii and the entire country to sound off on social media, saying things like, quote, really? This is what you say when so many lives have been lost? It was their job to be on high alert? The response has also been called unprofessional. And I, after many years having served as a first responder, I used to back all first responders, and I pretty much have done that until now. But knowing that the police chief issued an order for his officers not to allow people in their cars to leave Lahaina, I've lost respect for that man as well. The mayor of Maui and the police chief in Maui should immediately resign. And because the police chief gave that order, he should be immediately arrested as an accessory to murder. That's me. I'm just telling you how I feel, and I'm not the only one that feels that way. What is particularly baffling to some is why the mayor wouldn't say where he was during the disaster. He wouldn't say where he was during the disaster. The governor was out of state in Massachusetts with his family, and he interrupted his family vacation and came back to Maui. The governor came to Maui to help try to figure out what was going on and give some semblance of leadership to Maui. A political analyst whose name is Colin Moore said Bisson in particularly must increase his level of transparency. increase his level of transparency and tell the truth about what he knows. And tell the truth about what he knows, not just to the people of Maui, but the entire country. We want to know about his administration's wildfire response as well. And if he wants to remain on the job. If he doesn't want to remain on the job, he needs to resign. If it looks like public officials are trying to hide something, all this does, by their silence, is adding fuel to the fire. That's what I'm saying. That's what the critics of these leaders are also saying, not just on Maui, but all around the world. Now, getting back to what's going on in Maui tomorrow. I was told by someone that I'm not allowed to name, they don't want to take any kind of credit for it, but Dolly Parton has also sent a great deal of money that we don't know how much was sent, but I was told that Dolly Parton has sent a good deal of money over to the people in Maui. An incredible donation. And I'm here to tell you that there's somebody else, quite a few other people that have now come forth as well. I want to play this video for you. Okay? This comes when someone that I actually admire came forth with someone else that I didn't quite trust as much, and they've now come up with $200 million not to go to the government, only to each and every individual citizen. Each and every individual citizen on Maui that was put in harm's way, and the families of deceased victims.
Aloha.
I want to play this video for you.
Almost finished. I know.
Okay, I'm sorry, folks.
It's okay. Let's go.
Okay, I don't know where that's coming from. So hold on just a minute. No, it's not coming from that.
Two of the biggest celebrities on the planet, Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, are teaming up to help Maui. And they've created a fund to put money directly in the hands of people who need it right now.
So stand by for an important website for our friends and family on the Valley Isle. You might want to get your phone out now for the QR code. But here's a report from Sam Brock.
This morning, some relief for the people of Maui from two of Hollywood's biggest stars.
We've been meeting with community leaders, our kapuna, for the past couple of weeks, and just trying to figure out what we could do.
Oprah and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, coming together to aid communities impacted by the wildfires, launching a fund with an initial donation of $10 million, but also asking for more help.
In this time of need, you want to take care of the greatest need of the people, and that's giving them money.
The two reflecting on the devastation of the fires.
Oprah lives here in Maui. I was raised in these islands. My family are buried in these islands. It's going to take a long time to rebuild. Probably get a little worse before it gets a little better, but we're here doing what we could do.
All this as Maui is reeling, but working to rebuild, weeks after the fires ripped through the historic town of Lahaina.
Again, that was Sam Brock reporting. So get your phone out now and then open up the camera, because we have a QR code to get you to that our website.
That's where you're going to find the link to the People's Fund of Maui. If that doesn't work for you, you can just go to the website peoplesfundofmaui.org. Again, that's peoplesfundofmaui.org.
Yeah, Oprah and The Rock say that all adults displaced by the wildfires in Lahaina and Kula are eligible to receive $1,200 per month through the recovery period.
Okay? $1,200 per month to help those people recover from what has been a horrible ordeal. A literally horrible ordeal. And I admire The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I've admired him for a very long time. I want to thank him as well. I wish I could shake his hand. You guys have that QR code now as well. Anybody that sees this video and wants to help contribute to the People's Fund, it will give people the added help and give them a little less burden that they have had to go through during the past 3 weeks. It's a sad day, but more good news. Okay, I want to play this. This comes out of Seattle, by the way. A union has gotten together and took donations for the people in Maui.
Also, region are stepping up to help Maui in this very challenging time.
Fox 13's Frankie Thompson is in Fife to show what one local union is doing to support relief efforts. Frankie.
All day, people have been dropping off bundles and pallets of donations right here. We are at the ILWU local headquarters in Fife, and union members tell me this is easy work for Longshores because shipping is something they do best. Putting their motto into action.
An injury to one is an injury to all. So this is our way of giving back and showing that we believe in our motto.
The International Longshore and Warehouse Chapter 23 is collecting donations to help the people of Maui devastated by the deadly wildfires.
Well, the ILW is a 100-year history of giving back to our community. We represent workers, but we also represent the community at large. And whenever we see people in need in our community, in our nation, in the world, we try to jump in and help.
All week, the local chapter, headquartered in Fife, has been filling up a shipping container. So many items pouring in, requiring a second shipping container to fill. Several community members dropping off goods, doing their part to support a long road to recovery.
Tragic that every morning you turn on the news and there's more deaths reported. You just see all those cars, just how quickly that fire must have just taken over everyone. It's so sad. It's just really sad.
The support could not come at a more critical time. The number of lives lost in the wildfires continues climbing.
This is a bad one. This was one of the worst.
Aaron Hayes is a Red Cross shelter supervisor from Washington. Every day since August 10th, he's been working at the largest shelter set up in Lahaina, serving more than 250 people who no longer have a place to call home.
And there are local people that still can't get a hold of their friends and relatives in the Lahaina area because of the power being out, because the road was being blocked and not being able to get there.
Getting donations there will be easy for those longshore and warehouse workers. They're partnering with local companies to ship 2 trailers from the port of Tacoma.
This is what we do, right? We do shipping. And so putting goods into a shipping container, shipping overseas, that's what we do every single day. So this is no different than that, just it's our way of helping.
Their way of living up to their motto.
We really care. We states
and the last day of donation collections is tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Crews will then take 2 shipping containers to the port of Tacoma Friday morning, and those will be sent to Hawaii that evening.
Okay, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just great? That local union went out of their way to make sure to help the people of Maui. 2 large shipping containers worth of goods going over to help the people of Maui. I would ask the political figures on Maui to get their heads out and start telling the truth. Because the longer they don't tell the truth and come clean with what they know or don't know, in reality is going to burn them. It's going to make a great difference in what the people of Maui feel and know to be true. God bless the people in Maui. God bless the United States of America. Mr. Governor of Hawaii, Mr. Josh Green, you need to do some soul searching as well. What is more important? The people of your state or political ambition? Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, folks, getting out of that realm for a little while. Folks, I want to talk about some earthquakes that have happened today. Some people around the world have been affected by earthquakes today. I'm just saying. Okay? A great number of people around the world have been affected by earthquakes. And we're going to talk about that right now. First, I have to deal with this crazy bunch of yahoos at USGS for not letting us see the map, which we now know how to get around what they do. And that's okay. They can only slow me down just a little bit. They can't stop me. Unfortunately, they can't stop me. Okay? What I'm going to do is show you some powerful earthquakes. These are only large earthquakes. They're not very strong 6s. They're not 7s or 8 major quakes, but they are large nonetheless. I'm going to start over here in Pangai Tonga. This is over near Pangai Tonga, 48 miles southwest, actually west-southwest of Pangai Tonga. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. It was off the coast of Pangai Tonga. Okay? Now, this is about as far as USGS is going to let me show you. I can't get too much closer to this. But you can see small towns over here on Pangai Tonga. There are people in those towns. Okay? This is 43 miles away. Okay? The water absorbed the shock waves from this quake. If this had hit on land, it would have been a very different story. That island is small. Most of the islands out here in the South Pacific are just that, small. But that's only one earthquake. This was 102 miles deep. This came from down in the plastic magma area beneath the crust of the earth that we walk on, the land that we walk on. We call it the crust. Okay? This was down below that. Okay? The crust of the earth we walk on is anywhere between 39 miles deep to 69 miles deep. Okay? So you see what's going on. I want to make sure everybody is aware of it. Over in the southern part of Fiji, this is a 4.6. This is a deep quake, just like the other 4s were last week that we reported on. This is 343 miles deep into the earth, also down in that asthenosphere area. Folks, this is a 4.6 moderate quake. It's in the ocean. Nobody was even affected by it, not near any islands. This is only a moderate quake. The waters absorbed the shock wave from this quake, which would not have been much, but the waters absorbed it. But being a deep quake, this deep quake is going to propagate a much larger, stronger earthquake. It's going to propagate, guys, a 5.6 to 5.7 earthquake as a result of this 4.6 earthquake. This earthquake here, this is near Levuka, Fiji, also 128 miles from the nearest land at Levuka, Fiji. This is a 4.4. A 4.4 moderate quake. This was also deep. The ocean water absorbed the shock waves of this quake, but this is also going to propagate at least a 5.0, 5.1 earthquake. So now we have two other moderate earthquakes that are going to propagate a larger quake. One, at least a 5.0 in the next 72 hours to a week, maybe 10 days. Somewhere in between 3 to 10 days, we're going to see another 5.0 to a 5.6 magnitude earthquake as a result of both these earthquakes here in the Fiji area today. Okay? They're also not telling us about any earthquakes here in New Zealand. And yes, there are numerous earthquakes here in New Zealand. Okay? Let's go west. Okay? We're going over here to the Solomon Islands. Folks, this was a 5.3 earthquake in the Solomon Islands. This was on land. This is right on the beach area of the Kirikira Solomon Islands. I've spent a lot of time researching what we have here. This was a 5.3 earthquake. It was a semi-shallow quake, only 16 miles deep. 16 miles deep. So this isn't going to propagate squat. But this is a large earthquake, a 5.3 earthquake. It can do damage. See this small village here off to the east of that earthquake? That's just one village there. There are villages up and down this river here. All up and down this entire river here. There are villages. Okay? Now, while I've got this slide up, I'm going to show you my device. Because, folks, I have spent a great deal of time looking at this. This earthquake was felt by a lot of people there in the Solomon Islands. And these people don't have a great deal of money. They don't have a great deal of money. This one village here that was to the east of that earthquake, this is a good picture of that village. There are a lot of homes there. There are a lot of homes there. That's not the only place. Just north of there, here's some more small villages up the hill from that first village. You see the hill there, the bushes and trees there? Yeah, folks, small villages all over that entire area. They came in contact with a 5.3 large earthquake today. That earthquake jolted people awake. Jolted people awake. East of there, there's just another small village there. Okay, just a second. I lost my map and I just got it back. very quickly. What I'm trying to show you here, by showing you this island here in the Solomon Islands, I'm trying to show you that there are quite a few people living on that island. Here's a place further east. More villages there. But on the other side of the island, there is a full city. There is a full city. I want to show you how spread out that city is. That's how spread out that city is. Let me zoom in closer here. This is just part of that city. That's a good large city over there on the north side of that island. A huge city today was affected by a 5.3 earthquake, as well as those small towns and villages all over the island, right next to the earthquake especially. Being right next to where a 5.3 earthquake hit, there's going to be damage. They may have lost their homes and villages today. Now, I don't know whether we'll be able to get any information on that, but folks, I am praying for those people as well over in the Solomon Islands. But that isn't even the full story here. Okay? Let's go southwest. See where the Solomon Islands is here? And where Australia is? Well, guess what, folks? We've had 4 earthquakes over in Australia today. Let's go over to southeast Australia. Okay? This is a small 3.06. This is Jamestown, South Australia. A 3.06. It's a small quake. 2 years ago, they were hit by a 6.5. There was some damage there. It was a deep quake, so it was not as much damage as there could have been. But there was some damage there. It's a thriving city there. 2 more earthquakes over here to the southwest. Pinrup over in Australia had a 2.2. A 2.2 earthquake right there, southwestern Australia, and just to the west of that. This is Arthur River, Australia, also with a 2.2 earthquake. But it's not just one earthquake, it's actually 2. This has also got a 2.2. But it's also got a twin here. This is a 2.09. They were hit twice today. So actually 5 earthquakes today. 5 earthquakes in Australia that USGS isn't saying anything about. Isn't that interesting? Let's go up to the north central part of Australia. This is the Northern Territory of Australia with another 3.14. Still a small earthquake. USGS says nothing. Says nothing. Isn't it an interesting situation when they don't want to admit to anything? When they don't want to admit to anything. Indonesia going up into the Philippines. USGS shows us 2 earthquakes. 2 earthquakes. Let me show you one of them here on the USGS map. This is a 5.4 in Timor, Indonesia. In the past, we reported on large and very strong 6s here, but they were out in the water in the Banda Sea, which is not the case today. This is a 5.4 earthquake here. Okay? There are small villages all over this island. Small villages all over the place, as such as this one here. A 5.4 earthquake hit land here. Okay? The city stretches all the way out over here. Okay? This time USGS told us about that earthquake. Isn't that interesting? But they only told us about this one here. This is a 4.6, 162 miles deep. Still a semi-shallow quake, a 4.6 out in the ocean waters, and the waters absorb that shockwave. This here was 39 miles deep, 40 miles deep. It's a shallow quake. That is a powerful quake when it hit the earth, right there, not out in the water. So people may have gotten hurt over here in Indonesia. Okay? They may have gotten hurt in Indonesia, but why are they not telling us about all the other earthquakes there as well? That is the question. Out west of there, there's 3 more moderate quakes. Okay? Well, actually, that one, I just hit a 2.7, a 2.7, and 2 4.1s. 2 4.1s right there, moderate quakes. And a 2.7 just to the east of there. Look where they hit. Look where they hit. Another island there. Another island. This is just east of Bali. This is just east of Bali where we had that very strong earthquake. That 6 this past week, just out in the water, just barely north of Bali. Okay? People injured there, by the way. Literally all over Indonesia here. They don't say anything. 3.9, 4.0, 3.5, 4.6, 4.6, just about 70 or 80 miles east of that 5.3 or 5.4. Okay? 4.6 moderate quake there. Yes, that's just barely out in the water, but a moderate quake nonetheless. 3.0 in Halmahera. Halmahera is where Ibu, Mount Ibu, the volcano is. A 3.0 earthquake there. Further west, North Sulawesi, Indonesia, another 4.1 there. Guess what? We have another volcano there. We have another volcano over there. Another 4.0, this time in the Celebes Sea. USGS says nothing. Says nothing, literally. The Philippines, north of Mindanao Island, Philippines over here. Okay? This time a 3.4, a 3.2, and a 3.8. Small earthquakes on just northeast of the island of Mindanao Island, Philippines, to the south where Davao City is. Davao City is down there to the south. Okay? It's an incredible issue when they don't tell us about earthquakes, because those earthquakes spread. Those earthquakes spread, and they could spread up here to where we have the island of Guam, a United States territory over here. the island of Guam up here in the Mariana Island chain. The great big huge deep trench in the middle of the Pacific. Okay? We have the island of Guam up here. Okay? Earthquakes spread. And they get bigger. But this agency does nothing. Okay? How about this one up here in Alaska? ADAC, Alaska. They're talking about it. They're talking about it, folks. Oh yeah. They know it happened. They know it happened. 2 earthquakes right there. That was the US or the EMSC that map I just showed you. This one here, a 4.6 here. This is a relatively shallow quake at just 27 miles deep. This quake out here, also here, 161 miles west of ADAC, it's just a 1.1. But this one here just hit. This is a tiny 0.8 microquake out here. Why is it important? Because there happens to be a volcano here. Another one of Alaska's volcanoes. That's why this is important. Because these volcanoes do erupt. And when we have earthquakes around them, we know there's magma there. We know there is magma there. And there's volcanoes all over this island chain here. Literally. Okay? We go up here. This is over in the southern end of the peninsula of Alaska. This is a 2.1 earthquake. Unimak Island. Unimak Island. There happens to be a volcano there. A minor 2.1 earthquake. Down here near old Ililama volcano, we're still getting earthquakes. Still getting earthquakes. One of the largest ones is 0.6 microquake. This one is a 0.4 right next to the volcano. Over here, just in the Cook Inlet here, this is Karluk, Alaska. They're killing this. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake just east of the volcano. And that's okay. That's okay. Up here, this is Ninachik, Alaska, a 1.9, 2.0 minor earthquake. Minor earthquake. Let's go up to Mount Redoubt. This is a 1.7 earthquake. Volcano. Over here to the east, this is Chenega, Alaska, a 2.1 that just hit. Earthquakes over here in here in Denali National Park. Okay, 1.3, 1.5. Nothing major here in Denali at all. 1.5s, 1.3s, all over here. All over. Now, I want to show you something. We don't have any earthquakes except those here in central Alaska. Okay? Just so you know. Let me show you. This is a 1.5. Just a tremor. This is a 1.6. This is near what a town they call Bettles, Alaska. 44 miles southeast of Bettles, Alaska. Look where it's at. It's just south of the, what do they call it in English? The pole circle is what we call it in Swedish. The Arctic Circle. This is just barely south of the Arctic Circle. Okay? Getting earthquakes. We don't have anything up here near Katavik, which is fortunate. Okay? Nothing up there. Then we have these 3 earthquakes here, right in a row. Right in a row. Look at this. This is a 0.8 microquake. This is a 1.0 minor tremor here. This is a 1.2. This is southeast of Minto, Alaska. Minto, Alaska, guys. Let me show you something. This area has a volcano over here. This area is spread out all over Kingdom Come. Yet we have 3 earthquakes in a row here. There happens to be a fault line here. That's why we have 3 earthquakes in a row. This huge fault line. Okay? Just so you know. That's what's going on in Alaska. Now, one other thing while we're here. We reported on a good-sized moderate quake here last week. Okay? This is up here in the Bering Sea. This is a 2.6 today. This is an aftershock of that moderate earthquake up here in the Bering Sea, right between Alaska and Russia. Okay? So we're still having earthquake activity over here. Just so you know. Further southwest from Alaska here. This is still, excuse me, this is Sitka, Alaska. 18 miles west of Sitka, Alaska. This is a 1.9, 2.0 earthquake. What do we know about Sitka, Alaska, guys? We have some volcanoes here. 2 volcanoes here. 2 volcanoes here. Sitka, and I believe, I can't remember the other name of it. There's another volcano here as well. Okay? We have Sitka, Alaska. Okay? They're not showing anything else down the coast. Interesting. Just interesting they don't show anything down the coast. Now, you might ask me why that's interesting, guys. You might ask me why that's interesting. Because look over here at Queen Charlotte Island. Queen Charlotte Island. Look what we have here. 3 earthquakes. USGS doesn't tell us about anything, do they? Actually, it's 4 earthquakes. I'm sorry. 4 earthquakes. A 2.35 and a 0.118. A 2.35 minor earthquake up here and a 1.18. Okay? That's over here on the north side. Over here on the west side, Queen Charlotte Island, 46 miles west, out in the ocean. Out in the ocean there, we have a 1.27 earthquake there. A 1.27 earthquake just off the coast of Queen Charlotte Island. It's not just that. Another one here just south of there. It's a 1.57 tremor off of Queen Charlotte Island. USGS says nothing. We don't have anything. But what do we know about this? What do we know about this? Can you say Cascadia subduction zone here? Cascadia subduction zone? Last week we had earthquakes over on the Blanco fracture zone right here. In the Blanco fracture zone we had 2 earthquakes here. Today, over in the south part of the Cascadia subduction zone, this one is on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 1.82 magnitude tremor here. This is Petrolia, California. It's right on the San Andreas Fault. Again, just like that other quake we told you about the other day. Right on. In fact, I think we now had 2 of them. Got 1.82, and they just had another 1.82 there. 2 1.82 earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault. Just tremors. But 2 of them, we just added another one tonight. Okay? Look at the other earthquakes here. North of San Francisco Bay and south of San Francisco Bay over by Monterey Bay. Okay? Just briefly. Let's go do this. I want to show you something. Okay? Briefly. We have this earthquake this is not an earthquake at San Francisco Bay at all. This is another quarry blast here. This is a quarry blast at a quarry up here near Vallejo, California. Okay? This is actually not Vallejo, Benicia, California. I'm sorry, Benicia, California. It's a 1.1 quarry blast at a quarry right there at San Francisco Bay. Okay? Right there at the bay. They're still blasting in the bay. Crazy. North of the bay, this is Kenwood, California. Not a big deal, 1.8 tremor, but it's on the Hayward Fault. It's on the Hayward Fault. South of there on the Hayward Fault right here. This is Alum Rock, also on Hayward Fault, a 1.0 tremor. South of there, this one here. Gilroy, California, another 1.9, 2.0 earthquake. Just west of Gilroy. Over here closer to Monterey Bay. This is a 1.9, 2.0 also. 2 2.0 earthquakes. This one is on, guess what? The San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. Southwest of there, Prunedale, another 2.0 earthquake. This one here, Tres Pinos again on the San Andreas Fault, a 2.0. This one here is a 2.1 at the Pinnacles on the San Andreas Fault. Okay, the Pinnacles is an oil and gas area. Also, we have some volcanic action going there as well. Okay, and you can see what's going on here. Okay, this is San Ardo, California. Another 1.6 earthquake here. Just a tremor, I'm sorry, just a tremor. Over here in Fraser Park. Fraser Park. This is at the Garlock Fault. Right next to the San Andreas. It's a 1.2 tremor. And just west of there, this is Fillmore, California. This is a 1.8 tremor. Okay? Over here, guess what? I just love this place. I have friends living over here. This is Topanga, California. A 2.0 earthquake. Topanga, California. Okay? Over here, Little Creek. Little Creek, guys. 1.3. 1.3 there. We go south. Colton, California. I've been in Colton. I've done a lot of stuff up there in Colton. I've got friends there as well. A 1.1 tremor. However, over here, off the coast of Los Angeles, another earthquake over here near San Clemente Island. Okay? This is a 1.6 also south of San Clemente Island. Okay? Now we just had this other earthquake here. This is in northeast San Diego County. This is another 2.0 earthquake. This time it's at a telescope. This is Palomar Observatory, a 7,100 foot mountain in northeast San Diego, California. Another 2.0 earthquake. Guess what? It's on the Elsinore Fault. Elsinore Fault. All these earthquakes here are the Anza Gap area. The state park, the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Look at all these earthquakes. A swarm of them. A good-sized swarm of them. Down here is 0.5 in Borrego Springs, still part of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Over here, Ocotillo Wells. This is just barely on the eastern lip of the Chocolate Mountains, as well as this one here. This, they say, is 14 miles east of Julian. It's right next to the one that they said was Ocotillo Wells. It's at the top of the Chocolate Mountains. Okay? Going over here to the west side of Westmoreland. The west side of Westmoreland, California. Westmoreland is just over here, just on the southwest side of the Salton Sea. Over here, we have a 2.8 earthquake, and I believe this was actually a 3.4. It came out as a 3.4. They reduced this to a 2.8. Almost a half magnitude downgrade. Right here, this is a 0.9 microquake. Okay? Earthquakes here in California, guys. Earthquakes in California. Now, before I leave California, okay, over in San Diego County, last week, we had a couple of earthquakes off of Carlsbad, California. They said it was off of La Jolla, but it wasn't. It was off of Carlsbad, California, directly west of Escondido. Carlsbad, California. Now, this was they said it was a 3.4 earthquake. It was not. It was not a 3.4 earthquake. We had 800 felt reports, 840 felt reports, with an earthquake that they said was just a small quake off the coast of California. Since when do we have small quakes where the ocean water would absorb the shock wave? We had 840 felt reports of alleged 3.4 earthquake. Some of you here in our chat felt that earthquake. And you sent me emails and messages saying that you felt that earthquake. Folks, that was not a 3.4. I'm sorry, that was a 5.5 off the coast of Carlsbad, California. A 5.5 off the coast of Carlsbad. Usually I would say that the ocean waters probably absorbed a good share of it. That the ocean water probably did. But it did not absorb everything that earthquake had. It was on the Rose Canyon Fault. A 5.5 earthquake on the Rose Canyon Fault. People all the way east into Escondido felt it. All the way east into Escondido felt that 3.4. It was a lot larger earthquake. Again, we can't trust the agency. They have not given us any latitude to trust them at all. We have earthquakes over here in southwestern Texas today. There's a small swarm here, or cache, you might want to say. That's a 1.8. West of there is a 2.1. These are in the oil fields of southwestern Texas. Toya, Texas. Okay? You can see the oil fields here now. Literally all over. All over. Oil fields of Texas. Further east, Midland, Texas, also in the oil fields. This is a 2.5 earthquake, guys. 2.5 earthquake. Let me show you something. Look what it's next to. Look what it's next to. off just barely, maybe 15, 20 yards away from an oil and pumping unit. Okay? Just maybe a mile away, there's another one. And over here to the north, another one. Right in the middle of an oil and gas field in Texas. Okay? That's why this 2.5 happened. A minor earthquake. Further east, Westbrook, Texas. Westbrook, Texas. It's also in an oil field here. Okay? I believe right here is an oil and pumping rig here, pumping jack there. Over here are more. All over this area. I can't get any closer than this. All throughout this area we have pumping jacks. Okay? All over this place. Oil and gas all over Texas, literally. Okay? Up north, Oklahoma. How about that? We've got a cache of earthquakes here. This is a 2.1 near Calumet, Oklahoma. This is a 2.1 near Minco, Oklahoma. This is a 1.1 in Gatsby. Tremors here. Guess what? There's a city. There's a city right there. There's Minco. North of there, up here. They're not telling us what town it was at. This is a 1.4 tremor. This is also a 1.2 quarry blast, allegedly, near Owasso, Texas. I'm not Owasso, Texas, Owasso, Oklahoma. Boy, I put my foot in my mouth there. Let's go visit this, okay? I just love when they say it's a quarry blast, it's an explosion. I like to go visit and see what's actually there. This one, it looks like it's in a quarry area. It looks like this is a holding pond. It looks like this is in a holding pond, unless we've gotten to explode areas in a holding pond. I question it. They don't have any depth on this quake at all either. So this might be a 1.2 tremor at a quarry blast in Oklahoma, near Owasso, Oklahoma. You see Owasso right there. Okay? Oklahoma has 589,000 pumps and jacks all over Oklahoma. 589,000 pumps and jacks all over the place. Okay? Really quick. Look here in South America. Okay? I just love showing you this. This brings me no great joy at all, showing you what they're not doing here in South America. They're reporting one tiny earthquake here. I shouldn't say tiny because it's not. It's a 4.6 moderate earthquake. 115 miles deep, 116 miles deep in Ecuador. Folks, look here in Chile. Look at the earthquakes here. There's at least 18 earthquakes here in Chile that they're not telling us about. Down south is offshore from Araucania, Chile. This is a 3.0. That's a 3.0. Most of these here are 3.0s and a 2.8. There's a 2.8 and the rest are all 3.0s, 3.1s. All up and down this area here. There's one of the 3.1s there. North of there, just barely offshore, we have a 3.3 and a 2.7 here. Okay? but we have 10 plus earthquakes over here. Atacama and Tarapaca, Chile. Atacama and Tarapaca, Chile. Okay? We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 earthquakes there. 11 earthquakes right there. 18 earthquakes in Chile, and they don't want to talk about it. Okay? They don't want to talk about it. There is a 4.6 there. Right there. How about all the rest of these earthquakes here? Okay? Starting with this 2.7 in Colombia. Okay? We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 earthquakes here in Colombia. Now we have 29 earthquakes in South America. They told us about 1. They tell us about 1. They don't tell us about any earthquakes here in Central America. They don't tell us any earthquakes here in Mexico. None. 0. They don't talk about that. Why not? Central America, guys, earthquakes there. Why do I care? Because those earthquakes go to California. They fly north to California. Look at all these earthquakes here. All going up into California. Okay? All of these. There's a reason I report on them. Yes, some of them are 3.5 and 3. Oh, darn it. Stupid pop-ups on my darn phone. Okay? Most of these are 3.5, near 4.0, especially down here in southern Mexico. Okay? Down here in southern Mexico, here's one of them. It's a 4.2 down here. A 4.2. A moderate earthquake. A moderate earthquake right next to a city. Moderate earthquakes. They tell us about some moderate earthquakes everywhere else, but they disregard Mexico because they know that we have earthquakes going into California there. Okay? We have about 12 earthquakes over here in Iceland today. 12 earthquakes here in Iceland. Most of those over here at the 2 volcanoes we have erupting here. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. We have earthquakes on the north side of Iceland and earthquakes on the south side of Iceland. On the Antarctic Ridge, or not the Antarctic Ridge, on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. I don't know why I said Antarctic. Anyway, up here on the Antarctic, or said it again, on the Atlantic Ridge. Okay? Now, what are they not showing us here? They're showing us this large earthquake here. It came in as a 5.3. They reduced it to a 4.9. The 0.9 society is alive and well on the mid-central Atlantic. Actually, it's not even central, mid-southern Atlantic. Okay? What do we know about the Mid-Atlantic Ridge? It's spreading. The Atlantic plate is spreading out. It's pushing Africa and South America further apart. It's doing the same thing further north here, separating Africa from America, putting great pressure on the east coast of the United States. Okay? A lot of pressure. But today, folks, well, they took it down. There was also another 4.5 here in the central mid-Atlantic right here. There was a 4.5 here. They've taken it down. Okay? Now, over here in the Canary Islands, why am I showing this? Because we have a lot of fires over here on this island here. This is Tenerife. Tenerife. We have a lot of forest fires going, major fires. They had to evacuate the island of Tenerife. Okay? We have a 1.5, a 1.7, and another 1.5 here. Just tremors. 1.5, 1.7, another 1.5, just south of Tenerife, Canary Islands. 3 earthquakes there. There's more, guys. There's quite a bit more. Over north of there, in the mid-Atlantic, these earthquakes are saying, they're saying these are Azores earthquakes, the Azore Islands earthquakes. Let's see this one here. This one here is just north of a major island in the Azore Islands. Okay? This is a 2.0. A 2.0. This earthquake is right next to that island right there. That island right there. Okay? There's 2 other earthquakes further north and west. Okay? Actually 3. This is a 2.7. A 2.7. And just south of there, we have a 2.2 and a 3.3. That's why I'm showing you that. These are undersea earthquakes. But what do we see there? What do we see there? Can you say undersea mounts? These are undersea volcanoes, guys. Look at that. And you can see craters here as well. Okay? So we have earthquakes at the undersea volcanoes there, right next to the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Okay? Spain. We've got many earthquakes in Spain. We've got some earthquakes there in France and Germany and Switzerland. 1.0, 1.4, 1.6 over here in Germany. Over here in France, we have a 2.0 near the Rhone Alps. The Rhone Alps there. Okay, that's a 2.1. And one more just to show you. This is a 2.5. A 2.5 there in France. Rhone Court Ground, EST, France. I don't know what that is. Hogneville. Okay. France. I showed you, or told you last week, there were 20 earthquakes in Italy. Look at that. 20 earthquakes in Italy, at least. At least. Down south, just for a quick second, there's a 2.2. Sicily. Further north, Campania, Italy, a 1.8. Up here in this 10 plus area, guys, let's look at this. Tuscany, there's a 1.6. A 1.6 there. This 10 plus is different. This is Umbria, Italy. Umbria, Italy. Look at all these earthquakes. Okay? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 earthquakes here. All of these are tremors. Every one of these are tremors. Okay? We had a 5.0 here several months ago. Several months ago. Slovenia. We had a tremor there in Slovenia today. Okay? Earthquakes all over Europe, huh? Look down here in Greece. 20 plus earthquakes here in Greece today. Okay? What are they? 2.0s, 1.6s, 2.7s. Yeah, all over Greece. Literally. Crete. 3-4 more earthquakes around Crete today. Just for quick giggles. 2.5, 3.1, 2.0. Then over here, just west of Greece in the Dokanese Islands, that Greece owns, by the way, we have a bunch of 2s there. A bunch of 2s there. Okay? Earthquakes all over the area. Guys, I'm not going to keep you here showing you earthquakes all over Europe and the Middle East because we know there are a ton of them. Romania, we have a 3.0 and another 3.0 side by side. Romania, 2 3s here. Okay? We go down into Turkey. Look at the earthquakes literally all over Turkey. And earthquakes over in the Syria-Turkish border. Probably 50 earthquakes over here. All of them related to the 8.0, 9.0 earthquake we had over here. USGS said, oh, it's a 6.9. No, it wasn't. It was an 8.0, 9.0 earthquake. Azerbaijan, on the western side of the Caspian Sea, we have a 3.0 magnitude earthquake right next to the Caspian Sea. Okay? On the other side of it, we have a 3.1. That's in Iran. You can see other earthquakes here in Iran as well. Literally all over. Over here, Afghanistan. We have a series of 3 4.6, 4.7 earthquakes here in Afghanistan. That's kind of typical of what we see. Now in India, I've been waiting to show you this because I think it's important. We usually have not shown you earthquakes because we haven't had earthquakes this far south in India before. And I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the name of this town. This is a 2.8 minor earthquake here in south central India. South central Italy, or India, I mean. Okay? We've got earthquakes over on the southern side of the Himalaya Mountains. We get these 3.2s, and 2.8 earthquakes over here. That we do. Down in Myanmar, just north of Thailand and Vietnam area, we always have 2s there in Myanmar. Yes, we've had 3s here in the past. Okay? But that kind of catches you up on literally earthquakes around the globe. I've been told I have not shown you enough earthquakes. Today I have. Literally all over the world and in the United States, as well as the Cascadia subduction zone. Okay, I've shown you earthquakes where USGS doesn't show any. And they're not showing anything over there. Okay? Look at Europe. They're showing nothing. They're showing nothing. There's over 100, maybe 200 earthquakes here in Europe that they're not even talking about. There's 50 or 60 earthquakes over here in the Turkish area, Turkey-Syria area, that they're not talking about. Why? Why aren't they talking about it? People deserve to know that. Susie says, I was wondering which volcano would blow next. Well, we haven't had a ton of volcanic activity. There are volcanoes going, but we haven't. Okay? Plenty of earthquakes. And Susie, if your apps don't show it, after this program I will send you a link where you can show all these earthquakes all day long. Because yes, they're happening, regardless of what this agency does or does not say. It's incredible what they don't say. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about? I'm sorry this program has gone on a long time. I haven't been able to talk to you about earthquakes that have been happening because of what has happened that is more meaningful, because we have actually had people injured and hurt and killed. And I'd rather talk about those places so we can try to give them and give everybody some knowledge and try to get them some help, especially about Hawaii. Please, folks, don't forget about Hawaii. We have a vigil going on in the state of Hawaii tomorrow from 6 a.m. Hawaii time until 7 p.m. tomorrow night. A vigil to remember the victims of the Maui fire. I believe there are probably close to 2,000 people that were killed, not just 115 that they say happened. I just don't believe it. And I won't believe it at all. This vigil, so everybody knows, Embrace Beloved Maui, statewide vigil for Maui, Friday, September 1st from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. From 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. all night, all day. Okay? You can get more information at KHOW. Okay? Hawaii News Now. KHOW. Hawaii News Now over there in Hawaii. They will have everything posted there. If you want to send relief to them, you can do that as well. A lot of people killed. Over 2,000 people that have not yet been identified. They say, the authorities are saying, oh, we might have 1,100 people that haven't been identified. It's a lot more than that. Okay? Also say prayers for the wonderful people that are down in Florida. Don't forget those people that are down in Florida. Okay? They need our prayers too. Some of them have lost their livelihoods. Some of them have lost their homes and businesses because of the flood. In Cedar Keys, they had 9 feet of water yesterday morning. 9 feet of water in Cedar Keys. Folks, do any of you have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? I know we've talked a lot. I've given you major information about Maui. I've given you a lot of information about Florida and Alabama and Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina. I've showed you pictures of the damage. Okay? Hurricane Heather is asking, can we do the devotional? Yes, we can. I've had my scriptures open for most of the day with this for you. Folks, this is something that I hold precious. This is also in the New Testament in Philemon. Folks, this is Paul in his epistle to Philemon. In chapter 1, verse 19. I, Paul, have written it with my own hand. I will repay it, albeit I do not say to thee how thou owest unto me even thine own self besides. Verse 20. Yea, brother, let me have joy of thee in the Lord. Refresh my bowels in the Lord. Having confidence in thy obedience, I wrote unto thee, knowing that thou wilt also do more than I say. Brothers and sisters, we need to be more like Paul. We need to write our families and those that we care about. We need to share our testimonies of the gospel with the people that are most precious to us. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I am thankful for each and every one of you. I really am. I'm very grateful for all that you have given me and for all the help and support you continue to give me every day. I appreciate the idea and the very thought of telling you what's going on around the world. We need to be aware of what's going on because one day, very soon, it could happen to any one of us. I'm thankful to my God for each and every one of you. I ask the Lord to bless you. May His hand be in your life every day. I know for a fact that our Heather here and Susie and many others here have been blessed, and Demon Cat have been blessed mightily by the Lord in their lives. May He continue to bless and watch over each one of you. I know a lot of people, including our dear Scooter Pie, is going through a lot right now. Please hold her in your prayers. She is about to lose her mother. Her mother is in the hospital. She's had numerous strokes, and she's not going to make it. Please hold Scooter Pie and her family in your prayers. She needs it. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the New Madrid, and we're going to talk about emergency preparedness. Things are happening all over. We need to tell you about it, keep you informed of what's going on. That's why we're here. May God bless and protect you this day and always. May God hold you in the palms of His hand. May He pick you up when you need to be picked up and lift it up when you need it. Also keep me in prayers. Some things are going on in my life that I consider serious. Please also keep me in prayers. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. Please, folks, give us thumbs up if you believe this program was beneficial tonight. Please share it with everybody you know. Bring more people here into our community, the Emergency Management Associates. Every one of you are my associates, my dear friends and family. God be with you until we meet again. Have a good night, guys. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back with you to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, we will see you around the corner. Good night, everybody.